Hi everyone, yes, Israeli Salad is back. Today we'll take a look at the month of Nisan here in Israel, beginning from Pesach until Yom HaShoah. Shalom to all our viewers. Welcome to Israeli Salad. I sure missed you all, and I really hope that we're getting back to our weekly schedule. There have been a lot of changes here in our video department in terms of personnel, resources, and other fields. We're looking forward to bring back our daily news edition soon, and we're looking into other improvements that, with Hashem's help, will only enrich our programs. And so today we're here with a special Israeli Salad, an Israeli Salad bringing you the sights and sounds from the month of Nisan here in Israel. Let's begin with an event from a few days before Pesach, Passover. One of the main precepts of Pesach involved the sacrifice of the Paschal Lamb in the Holy Temple. The Temple Institute, Machon HaMikdash, decided this year to carry out an actual rehearsal of the sacrificing. Now this was done for two reasons. One, because it's actually possible to sacrifice the Paschal Lamb even where there is no Holy Temple, according to the Jewish law. And two, it was to be done as an act of faith, showing God that not only do we long for the Holy Temple, we actually believe that it will be rebuilt soon. As a result, we are preparing ourselves. The old city of Jerusalem, a few days before Pesach, a living animal is being brought for preparation for the Pesach sacrifice, not by car and hidden, but out in the open, just as it was done in Egypt, in full view of the Egyptian people. The members of the Temple Institute are preparing the Holy Temple, which hopefully will become a reality in our days. The sacrifice of the Pesach lamb is not dependent on whether the temple exists or not, states the Director General of the Temple Institute, Yehuda Glik, to us and to journalists from around the world.
The Mishnah states the sacrifice of the Pesach lamb should take place even if the temple doesn't exist. There's no reason that it should not take place. Of course the temple should exist, and with God's help, it will be built.
At the time set for the rehearsal sacrifice, the Supreme Court is still not approving of the act.
Moshe asked Pharaoh for 3 days to take the people out of Egypt to serve their God. We are asking only for 3 or 4 hours on the Temple Mount in order to perform this mitzvah.
Justice Eliakim Rubinstein studied the material presented to him by the Temple Institute and declared that it would not happen. The matter is a political one, he said, and needed to be decided by the government. Meanwhile, the Kohanim, descendants of the priests who served in the Holy Temple, continued to the Institute to learn the procedure which will be used when the time comes. In the beginning, they have difficulty in exchanging the sprinkling containers with the other priests. Later, with the singing help of Rabbi Ariel and the attending group, they become more experienced in the procedure. In addition to the Arutz Sheva crew, the journalists who arrived to cover this event were mainly Arab.
We didn't come here to make war. We came only to make peace. And this is what we have to talk about, how the Pesach sacrifice brings peace.
Recently, the Arabs complained that Israel was digging under the Mugrabi Bridge, preparing to renew service on the Temple Mount. The lambs in the old city increase their fears. What are they doing?
I came to look and learn.
So what do you think? Is this good or bad?
I'm a journalist. I have no opinion. I come to report. The first Pesach sacrifice was sacrificed in Egypt, although the lamb was considered a god by the Egyptians. The sacrifice is our covenant with God. We're not ashamed about this. If Ahmadinejad is not ashamed to say the nation of the Jews doesn't have any future, we feel that we do have a future and want to let the people know that. We want to renew our covenant with God.
And so we did not achieve bringing the sacrifice this year, but we can be sure that throughout this coming year, members of the Temple Institute will continue to learn and teach towards the rebuilding of the Holy Temple.
אנחנו מבחינתנו ערוכים ומוכנים. יש אבנים למזבח, יש כבשים, יש סכין שחיטה.
We have the lambs, a slaughtering process, exact vessels. There are clothes for the priests. Everything is ready.
יש כלי נגינה מוכנים. מבחינתנו הכל ערוך ומוכן.
Pesach is a holiday of education. Many ideas in the Seder night, the first night of Pesach, and in the Haggadah, the textbook we use throughout the Seder, relate to how one can transmit the story of the redemption from Egypt, and with it the concepts of faith and the love of God, to our children. A few days before Pesach, we met 1,000 young boys and girls near the Western Wall, the Kotel, in Jerusalem. A few days before Pesach, festively dressed children filled the Kotel Plaza. 1,000 kids who recently immigrated to Israel from the former Soviet Union came to celebrate a mass bar and bat mitzvah.
I'm from Afula. We came to celebrate the bar mitzvah and the girls' bat mitzvah. I'm excited. It's my first time in Jerusalem, and I'm glad to be here. We come here to celebrate the bar mitzvah for hundreds of youths, as we do every year. There's nothing more joyful than celebrating bar mitzvahs in the holiest place for the Jews. Many of you were born in Russia, in Ukraine, in Kazakhstan. In Georgia. No matter where you came from, you could not have experienced what you're experiencing here. There's no place like Arutz Israel, and we have no other place but Jerusalem. This is our capital, your capital, and it always was, even when you were over there.
The masked bar bat mitzvah is actually the culmination of a unique educational period that brings the Olim children closer to their heritage.
We made a blessing on the Torah. We were taught about the Tanakh, lots of things, and I'm very excited to be in Jerusalem. This ceremony is a single event, but sometimes a single event can be a jumping board for people to enter the fabric of Israeli society and become an integral part of Israeli society.
The 1,000 Olim children celebrating their bar mitzvah today are part of 15,000 children that Kollel Chabad has brought closer to Judaism in the past 16 years.
I want to bless you upon reaching mitzvot. I'm sure you'll continue to be faithful sons to your parents, to your country and people. Mazal Tov, and I hope to see you on other joyful days.
Mazel Tov. The days before Pesach are also days of chesed, loving kindness, as Jews throughout the country help those who don't have the means to celebrate Pesach. The term used for this help is kimcha de pischa, which means flower of Passover. This term relates to all the needs for a joyous holiday. Now let's meet chalifa de pischa. Chalifa means a suit. Pesach has come and gone, but in some parts of Israel, the activity is not over. We've all heard of Kimcha de Pischa, the organizations that hand out matzahs, wine, meat, and other foodstuff to those in need. But now, we present Chalifa de Pischa. Philanthropists, organizations, anyone who can help out, assist others in buying shoes, suits, and hats for the holiday.
In the time of the Holocaust, people from Chabad arrived in Shanghai. Things were so bad, there was hunger, nothing to eat, nothing to wear. One day the former Rebbe, the Rayatz, came to one of the richest men in that village in his dream and told him to take care of clothes for his sons. We took this idea and said we can find a benefactor today who will take care of the kids' clothing, and because the subject has existed for many years at the Rebbe's headquarters at 770, the decision was made to do it in Israel too. There are thousands of innocents, starting small but growing year by year. Now there are also suits and hats.
And so in Bnei Brak, thousands of suits are distributed, an improvised warehouse is rented in town, box loads of suits are unpacked, and those who were invited come in, present a coupon, and receive a suit. Not far from there at the Right Place store, a real store, young men try out suits from the shop stocks of thousands. They will eventually present the coupon to the cashier, the suit will be nicely packed, and they will go home with a meaningful discount in the holiday expenses.
In the last 2 years, it's grown considerably, and many people, both individuals and organizations, feel the need to do something for the Chag. This holiday, we're working with at least 35 organizations that have distributed thousands of suits to boys, to yeshiva students, from all over, Chabad, Lithuanian, Sephardic, yeshiva boys, all of Israel.
The Right Place has several branches. The Jerusalem store adds many salesmen to its staff in the days and nights before the holiday to keep up with the pace of sales and distribution.
When the offer came to give needy students and families a respectable holiday suit, that they would go into a high-class store and get a suit, it was natural that Karmei Ha'ir would cooperate. He adds 100 shekels and gets a suit. Does anybody know if this is his check or someone else's? He adds 100 shekels. We let him pay a little so he feels better about it. And with this, he buys a suit and gets full service, a Bagir suit from the Right Place. A person who enters and buys with a coupon, we treat him like a regular customer who buys with money, so that from his side, there's no difference between buying with money or with a coupon he received from us.
Back to Kfar Chabad, a Chabad philanthropist bought classy hats for thousands of students at the Chabad yeshivot. It seems the organizers are trying to give each recipient his due respect, but the holiday is drawing near. The hall is overcrowded, and the pressure is too much for some.
This list started at 12, the black list, the blue one began at 4, and the green at 9. Baruch Hashem, we'll reach everyone.
Is there a danger that some of the guys here will not have a hat in time for Pesach?
I don't think so. We're making every effort, but if someone doesn't have it by Pesach, they will by Shavuot. It was funded by a donor from overseas. During the month or two before Pesach, they register. They get the hats from me and the suits from someone in Bnei Brak, and as you see, everything's working. We try to help everyone. Personally, I've taken care of my friends who married and had no clothes, and Sholem gave them clothes from A to Z, and to their brothers too. It's very exciting. Sometimes people come here to buy themselves holiday clothes and call the store manager aside, give him 5,000 shekels, and tell him, listen, if people come by and they don't have money, I want you to give it to them. Yes, it's an amazing phenomenon. When the holiday nears, they feel the need to help others. One feels welcome here in an extraordinary way and with the best feeling, not a feeling that one's giving and the other taking. I think the charitable organization should emphasize the honor at the top of the agenda. Giving people food for the holiday and making them stand in line and be humiliated, we've achieved nothing by this. We've lost our goal.
Now let's get into Pesach. Many festivals and cultural activities took place throughout the holiday. We joined two events. First, let's take a look at what was happening in Sderot, the southern Negev city that has been suffering Qassam bombardment for many years.
We're from the community of Talmon and have come to support the people of Sderot. We are Jewish brothers. I came from Petach Tikva to strengthen the community of Sderot so they shouldn't be afraid of the Qassams. We came from Ofarim to strengthen the people of Sderot.
Many families from all over Israel came to Sderot to identify with the people who for the last 7 years have been suffering Qassam rocket attacks.
Many people identify with the distress of Sderot. We have to support them because of their problems. I also identify with their distress. The government has failed them. They only allow bad things to happen to them. People are suffering.
This special identification day began with a big march. The starting point of the march was a viewpoint where the participants saw what is left of the Jewish communities of the Gaza Strip.
We came to this place so we can look at our former homes in Eli Sinai. These homes are from where Arabs are now shooting missiles towards our new temporary homes.
A lot of joy was prevalent amongst the Sderot residents, seeing how much support they have from the rest of the country. They met many people that have absolutely not forgotten what they are going through.
ההמולה הזאת זה דבר יפה מאוד, והם משמחים את שדרות. שכחו אותנו, אנחנו כועסים.
We appreciate that others have not forgotten our problems. We're angry that many have forgotten us and don't care about us. But we have no choice. We live in Sderot. Our children and grandchildren are here. What can we do? This is the situation.
מה לעשות עם כל המצב?
There was one thing that bothered the residents of Sderot. Most of the visitors to the southern city were mainly from one specific part of the society.
Unfortunately, what we see here are only the religious. Leftists are not present here. The left thinks that Sderot is a settlement. I want to see all segments of the population here.
So let's make sure that we all do whatever we can to strengthen these precious Jews. From Sderot, we continue to the annual traditional celebrations in Hebron, the biblical city where our forefathers are buried, in the tomb of the patriarchs, Me'arat HaMachpelah. This year, as every year, many people came to the city of our forefathers, Hebron. The entire tomb of the patriarchs, Me'arat HaMachpelah, was open to Jews, including the hall of Yitzchak and Rivka. After the prayer service at Me'arat HaMachpelah and tours of Hebron, many people gathered around the stage at the Gutnik Square to sing and rejoice at the site that Abraham, our forefather, bought to bury his wife Sarah. The residents of Hebron were grateful to the 50,000 visitors who came to strengthen and encourage the people of this important Jewish community.
We will continue to strengthen this community, establish it, widen it, build it, and guard the cave of the patriarchs for all of you and for the whole nation of Israel. We thank you for coming here every holiday and rejoicing with us. We get our strength through this. We thank you. Keep coming and pray at the graves of our forefathers.
לחזק, לתרום, לשמוח.
Tens of thousands gathered for the large priestly blessing Birkat HaKohanim that takes place on the intermediate days of Sukkot and Pesach. The Western Wall in Jerusalem was where they all gathered, and they were blessed by descendants of the Kohanim, the priests who used to work in the Holy Temple and were ordered by God to bless the nation of Israel in His name. Well, Pesach is over. The day after Pesach, the day on which Jews outside of Israel observe another day of Pesach, is the time for the Mimuna celebrations in Israel. The name Mimuna is derived from the word emunah, which means faith. The ancient Jewish sages said that just as the Jewish people were redeemed from Egypt on Pesach, so too will they be redeemed in the same time in the future. When Pesach ends, and the Jewish people did not yet merit redemption, Moroccan Jewry celebrates the day as a great statement of faith, that despite the disappointment that the Jewish people and the whole world has not yet been redeemed, Jews will continue to long for it every day. Another one of the reasons for this celebration is that the strict kashrut laws of Pesach made it hard to host families and eat meals at friends, and so the moment Pesach is over, it's time to get together with full hospitality. The day after the last day of Pesach, those suffering from separation anxiety had the opportunity to join the Jews of Moroccan and North African descent in Israel to celebrate the Mimuna holiday. Public parks across the country were filled with Sephardic Jewish celebrants. The festivities featured Moroccan Jewish music, colorful dress, grilled meats, fried dough, called mufleta, and many pastries.
After a week of matzahs, it's time for bread, and we do it in a festive atmosphere.
Last
night we ate mufletas. Today we're barbecuing. Almost 10 kilos of mufletas. Hey, it's tradition. Although we're tired from this long holiday, we can't give up this festive day.
This is the Central Park of Ashdod, a southern city in Israel, home for many Moroccan Jews.
Last night you practiced your hospitality to one another and opened your homes. Today, we're hosting this event for all of you. You deserve it. May our spirit be like this throughout the whole year.
Another thing that happens right after Pesach, bakeries are preparing the first chametz, the leavened bread, after Pesach. "90 minutes after Pesach ended, some are busy putting the Pesach plates back in the cupboards, others prepare for the Mimuna. We went to see how people get ready for chametz, food made from leavened dough. First stop, the Shalom Mill in Petach Tikva. The flour mill is actually a huge building cross-hatched by pipes. The wheat grains are sucked up to the top floor, then passed through grinders and sifters until they become flour.
Usually we wet the grains, but in order to avoid grains that are broken or otherwise flawed according to Jewish law, we grind them dry first. We clean them for several hours and then wait another 7 hours. So by the time we grind wet flour, it's already afternoon.
So we have flour. Let's proceed to the bagel factory.
We're going to see the factory's special post-Pesach production after the special preparation we carried out on the eve of Pesach so that things go as smoothly as possible. Unlike previous years, we're operating a new ERP system which will support us and give us better quality values.
The Bagel factory is active from the early night hours. A first truck unloads 10 tons of flour, and 2 production lines come to life. First, the kashrut inspector, whose job is to make sure everything that comes out of here is kosher, performs hafrashat challah, the separation of a small piece of dough. 2 huge machines transport bagel pretzels and snacks, while elsewhere, ovens prepare the Eastern-style cookies, and the crackers await their turn. The dough sticks are sprinkled with salt and sesame seeds, baked once and again for drying. And it's ready to be packaged. It's almost 7 a.m. A second truck brings flour to the factory. The flour that has accumulated is enough to keep the factory busy until evening.
About 10 tons has already been made into dough, and as the day goes by, all of the flour will be finished.
What kind of preparations did you make so the factory would be kosher after Pesach?
The plant was cleaned. All the machines were cleaned of chametz. Stuff like malt was removed. It was taken out of the factory, and now we don't use any pre-Pesach chametz.
But it is permitted to only eat flour products after Pesach if the flour was ground and baked after Pesach. In order for these products to be available on the shelves, logistics need to go into overdrive.
The first few days after Pesach, trucks go out to the stores. Every product that leaves the lines is packed and immediately transported in accordance with our detailed plans. This is really special activity that's concentrated in a few days, and we believe we will succeed like we did in previous years.
Last year, too, we visited the factory for several hours, but this time it seems the factory is breaking its own records.
You could say we're about 30 or 35% above the regular production potential for ordinary days of the year. This year we're achieving very good output. All lines have been working with zero malfunctions, and that's an achievement compared to previous years.
Of course, not all the products, the 11 products that we buy after Pesach, were only baked after Pesach. There is also the halachic issue of selling chametz, mechirat chametz, to a non-Jew before Pesach and then buying it right after Pesach.
Please send your comments, ideas, and questions to the Israeli Salad email, yoni@israelnn.com. Or leave a message on the Israeli Salad voicemail at international dialing code 972-3918-5554. That's 972-3918-5554.
A few days before the end of the month of Nisan, we mark the Holocaust Remembrance Day, Yom HaShoah. This is actually the beginning of the important days that commemorate the events that the Jewish nation has experienced in the past few generations, the Holocaust, the establishment of the State of Israel, and the continuous difficult struggle against all those who wish to destroy us. Yad Vashem is the central Holocaust museum, but not everyone can always make it to this important site. That is why Yad Vashem decided that if you don't come to the museum will come to you. Most adult Jews understand the meaning of the Holocaust Memorial Day, but what will happen in the future when the survivors are all but gone? Yad Vashem is educating elementary school children about the Holocaust, and the Bat Amir organization sends 18-year-old girls on national service duty to Yad Vashem to learn so they can teach.
I decided to do national service for two reasons. First of all, 20 members of my grandfather's family were murdered in Auschwitz. My grandfather was a partisan, and my mother ran away from her home in northern France to southern France. So I knew from an early age that I wanted to deal with this subject. It started in 11th grade on a youth trip to Poland. And secondly, instruction. It's such an important subject. The Israeli public is full of information, but needs help in putting it in some kind of order. And why not start with the basis? We instruct children from the 5th grade to the 12th grade. Do you remember what she did in the ghetto?
She worked in a factory in the ghetto.
Right, and how was she saved?
She was staying with her teacher.
Right, and why was the teacher staying in the ghetto? What was her husband?
A doctor.
Bat Sheva and the other teachers use a special kit to help them connect the pupils to the world of the ghetto children.
For 5th and 6th graders, we have a kit called Memories in a Box. The first stage is a historical look at the Holocaust. When did it happen? Some background on the subject. He arranges them in a pyramid. Now, who do you think is on the top? The Germans. He calls them the Aryan nation. They're the strongest, and everyone else is beneath them. And where are the Jews? All the way at the bottom. In the second stage of learning, the kids pair up and learn the personal story of a child from the Holocaust from up close. The third stage, they write a diary or draw a picture about these children and then share it.
The personal stories of the Holocaust children are something the pupils can identify with.
This blue box belongs to a kid named Peter. He tells how life was in the ghetto. His greatest talent was drawing.
Peter was sent away from his house in Prague to a ghetto. Do you remember the name? It's a long one. Theresienstadt. This is a drawing that shows what a person sees when he is standing on the moon and looking at the earth. The person who chose this drawing is Ilan Ramon, the man your school is named after. Who was Ilan Ramon? Right, the first Israeli astronaut. Before his journey into space, he came to Yad Vashem and asked to take an object that's connected to the Holocaust. He did that for two reasons: because his parents themselves are Holocaust survivors, and also because he is a Jew. He takes Peter's drawing. And what happened to Peter at the end of the war? Did he survive? No, he was sent to the gas chambers. Correct. In the psychodrama, in the end, they share their feelings. It is a very intense subject, and this is a way of softening it to help them process what they've learned. We use scarves for sharing emotions. I chose blue because it's a color that gives me hope and is connected to the symbol of Israel. I chose green because people in the ghetto wanted to see the green things like grass. I chose black because it symbolizes the Holocaust and the sadness of the children in the ghetto.
Okay, that's all for this time. Join us again next time. Until then, from all of us here at Arutz Sheva, Shalom.